Hello, everyone, and welcome to Synchronous Online Teaching Strategies for Educators, the Math Edition. My name is Teresa Wells. I'm an assistant professor at George Mason University, and I teach in the Math Leadership Office, which means that I teach a variety of courses. I teach math specialist courses, um, some of which are leadership based, have a lot of discussion. Some of them are content based and have a lot of math content involved. Others are the math methods course that a pre-service teacher might take, and I teach both in the elementary department and the secondary department. My background is math and computer science. Those were my undergrads. And then I focused more into K-8 math specialist work. I was a math coach for several years in the middle schools and the elementary schools, and also a technology coach. So I have a variety of experiences that are all useful to where we are right now. What I'm going to do is share with you a problem that I give my math specialists in the course that is going to demonstrate how to implement Smith and Stein's 5 practices. Um, and it will be kind of a lot because I'm fully going to immerse you in it. But I hope that you will find little nuggets that you can take from your class. And due to popular demand, we're going to have a new task next Saturday. I asked if you would please RSVP with the same links that you did today. There's also a link on slide 1, just so I can get an idea of how many people are going to sign up. But if you like today's, you want a new task next Saturday, we'll have that also. And West Coast people, I took that in mind and made it at 10 a.m. instead of 9. So let's get started. Um, I am now on slide 2, and I'm looking to see all the little avatar bubbles move to slide 2 with me. And these are just some comments from from the teachers in my courses. I put it here as proof of concept that synchronous online instruction really can be amazing. In my opinion, my classes are better online than they are face to face. I've also had 10 years of practice with this, but I hope that I can share some of the reasons why I think online is so great with you all today. The gray slides, slides 3 through 6, are a variety of videos, recordings, blank slides, completed slides. You can peruse these at your own time. They will always be available on this link. And then join me on slide 7 for our ground rules. Hello, if you're just joining us, we are in the Google Slides. You can click this link in the chat box. And we are on slide 7 for the ground rules. You're welcome to take my slide and tweak it for your own needs. It is very important to have ground rules in here, and I'd like to use it because I can take this language directly and use it when I need to refocus my students. So I will model what is a great practice of reading your ground rules out loud at the beginning of class. Make sure you put away all distractions. We are recording this session for public view, so reduce or eliminate background noise. Do all assignments and readings before class. Use your microphones in small group and participate in whole group. Be patient and professional. Use your away message when you're away from your keyboard. Don't drive while on Collaborate Ultra. And update your profile picture as often as you can. If you're teaching students who can drive, it is very important that you put the Don't Drive while on Collaborate Ultra. This is a common practice that people will log in and just listen or use the audio feature, and it is not safe. So definitely include that and make sure that students are off when they're driving. Updating your profile picture, some of you all have done it already and Collaborate. It's a great community building tool. It lets you see people with different pets, different family members, and just helps the organic conversation that would usually happen when you are first in a breakout room. Slide 8 is my goal for you. My goal is to do what you're already doing, just do it online, because quality online learning requires excellent pedagogy and the teacher cannot be replaced by a computer. You're going to see here today that the teacher and the pedagogy are at the forefront, and all the tech stuff is just little tweaks to make it work for us. Come on down to slide 9. I'd like to get a poll to see who all is here. And I'm actually going to make a duplicate slide because we have about 50 people. So on 9 or 10, grab a text box, insert your name, and put yourself on this continuum between K and Algebra 2. What is the area that you're most knowledgeable of standards, child development, and student work? You can be on slide 9 or 10. It's the exact same thing. Before we ran out of text boxes on 9, come on down to slide 10. You can jazz up your slide. You can change the color, change your font. So remember, the left-hand side of the continuum is kindergarten. The right-hand side is Algebra 2. Where are you if you had to find one place that you are most knowledgeable of standards, child development, and student work? All right. In the RSVP, I noticed that we did have a lot of secondary folks in the high schools. So I use a task that is a little bit more towards that Algebra 1 grade level. But I also kept it very pictorial so that we could use it. I've used this task with second graders also. They just stayed at the pictorial level. So come join me on slide 11. I mentioned that we are going to be using the 5 practices, Smith and Stein's work. NCTM came out with Principles to Action. And these are the math teaching practices that they have established. And you're going to see all of these math teaching practices in today's exploration. Slide 12 is the problem-solving oath. I'll give you a minute to move down there and read that. Thanks, Emily, for being right on that. I appreciate it. I have my students read these out loud wherever they are, and in face-to-face classes, I have them say this oath out loud. I encourage you to work with your students to make your own oath, but when they do this, it sets them up for success in the math task. Slide 13 are different representations that I want my students to develop. I want some kind of concrete, and you don't have to have math manipulatives. You might have Cheerios or beans. I want them to use some technology, some pictorial, and some abstract in their solutions. And slide 14 is my breakout room activity slide. Come take a look at this. Slide 14 is a template that I encourage you to use because you can align it with your lesson plans ahead of time. You can figure out the size of your group, the time you want to spend. You can write your directions in case you have a kiddo who likes to hear the directions multiple times, or for newcomers. And then my task is below it. So what you're going to do when you're in your breakout rooms, which I'm going to set up, the recording will show you how I set them up. You're going to say hello to everyone, and you're going to begin on your task. You're going to get yourself a slide. There's a bunch down below starting on 17. and you're going to add your name to a slide, and that's going to be your slide. So you're going to be able to add anything you want on it, pictures from notes you're taking on paper, clip art images, virtual manipulatives, so on and so forth. So let's jump into our actual task on slide 15. This is what you all are going to get about 20 minutes to try and solve as many ways as possible. It says Jordan is designing a diorama of Chichen Itza, a Mayan pyramid. Chichen Itza has staircases on all 4 faces of a square pyramid. Jordan is using wooden cubes to create the staircase. They notice a pattern and was able to calculate the number of cubes needed for 20 steps. They explained the pattern to their partner Julio, but Julio saw a different pattern. Describe 2 different ways that the students could visualize the pattern. Use both visualizations to calculate the cubes needed for 20 steps. And how many steps do you think are actually along one side of Chichen Itza? How many cubes would Jordan need to create a perfect replica of Chichen Itza? That's your task. If you like to incorporate literacy, you can check out the slide 16. Eric Carle has a nice book where this pattern is in there as well. And your room is available for you on the slides below. Again, I am in charge of the breakout rooms. I'm going to create them, and you'll see how in the recording. And you'll go down to a slide, say hello to people, and start to type your name on that slide, and that will be yours. All right, your breakout rooms can be found in Collaborate. And I'll touch base with you all so you know where you are. And we're starting in 3, 2, 1, now.
No offense, we together. Nice to meet you. And Teresa.
Hello, everyone. If it looks like Tara has found a slide already and is on slide 26, would you all like to add your names to that slide?
Sure thing.
Box, I think your picture pops up. I think it's our moderator.
It's our moderator, yep.
Hello, everyone.
There's another.
Hello.
What slide have you guys claimed for your group?
Oh, I don't know if we have yet.
That's all right if you haven't. Oh, it
How do we
looks like
do that?
Jill is on slide 21. Is that you, Jill? Let's see if there's more.
Oh, yeah. I
Great.
can move it though.
No, you're perfect. So everyone in this group, go to slide 21 and add your names at the top, and this is your workspace.
Do I need to go back and forth between different screens before I? Do I have to open?
We have other.
All it down.
Looks like
I can
other
get
people.
it live.
Yeah, it looks like we have
So-
5 people in this group.
And it looks like Tiffany just joined us on screen 21, but is there a Tiffany
I'm
in our
going to
group?
go down and work in with Tiffany's group. I think she's just about to head out.
And yeah, we have a few people who are joining, taking.
Oh, nope, someone took slide. Looks like we could take over slide 25. Nope, someone just did that. This is fun.
Hey, folks. Let me help you out. How about you take slide 28? I just popped it in.
Thank you.
And add your names to slide 28.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Hello there, group 4. Have you all found a blank slide that you're working on?
Not yet. Every time we try to move somewhere, somebody else jumps in. So we're kind of letting things settle as we
All
discuss.
right, you all can move to slide 17.
Okay, 17?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is the two visualizations that are on that slide 15, they're different. So I'm like, which one is it? Is it the picture on the right or is it the picture on the left?
I think it's the left picture with like
Yeah.
showing this.
One plus two plus three plus four plus five, like that.
I just put the questions on the page for us.
Okay.
Yeah, just add where's the picture?
Hello.
2 different ways the students could visualize the pattern.
Well, how many? So what's another way other than one?
How wide are the steps supposed to be? How many cubes wide?
They look like it's 1 cube wide, at least the way it's the picture.
Yeah, the side thing is, yeah. Let's see. Well, each time you're adding one.
I mean, the 2 different ways I can think of it is just basically vertically or horizontally.
Right.
So it's either 20 plus 19 plus 18 plus 17, up to 1, or 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 up to 20.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but then it's got to be times 4 for the whole pyramid.
Right. Depending, and also how high it is. It's more than 20 steps high.
Yeah, for the whole, that's what I'm saying. Does she want just one staircase or the whole thing?
Well, I think steps 1 and 2 are just for 20, and then 3 is more.
I'm assuming a cube is a step, so if we know that we need...
How many steps do you think? Oh, no, that's an actual
Hi there, group 1. I noticed Deborah had a hand up. Do you have a question? It's all right if not. I was just checking in on you all.
I think Deborah might not have her.
Oh, if there's a mic issue. Yeah,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that's the case, for today, go ahead and use the typing keyboard, and you can still participate with your group member, and you can also write directly on that slide.
How can you write on the slide?
I think you can just create a text box.
Oh, okay. So you can't actually like use your mouse and draw.
Hi there, group. I saw someone in here wanted some support.
Hello?
Hi, what slide are
Hello?
you all on?
20.
You're on slide 20.
We're on 20.
Great.
Yep.
All right. Oh, it looks like you guys have quite a bit on here already. Can you think about some different visual representations?
Well, for the staircase, you're adding 1 cube each time. I have no idea.
So think about different ways you might expect your student to solve this. There's visual ways you could draw it as it's continuing. There might be some tables, some graphs you might make. Think about all the different representations you would like your students to use.
Well, I think the problem is missing some information.
And that is there very purposefully.
I mean, it says 1 step is 1 cube. Okay, great. But staircases are not 1 step wide.
Mm-hmm. So it's
So
like
we need
that
to know how
so
many
that
steps wide it is, as well as going up to 20 steps.
Mm-hmm. But with the information you have, what could you do?
Are we supposed to like simplify the problem and just make it 1 cube wide?
So they started out with 1 cube wide because this is a diorama. She's not trying to make everything look exactly like it, make it a model. And this is the staircase that she's developed. But she's trying to go up 20 steps. And so there might be a way to visualize by drawing every staircase. Maybe you have a way of thinking about the problem where you don't have to draw every single one and you can jump to the 20th. And remember, Julio visualized it a different way. So think about what might Julio have visualized? What math tools might Julio have used?
Oops. I was trying to put a table in here.
Okay, it says to drag image or PowerPoint or PDF files. So how did you get the Desmos to show up?
So I did share application / screen because then it lets you choose to share like something you have up on your computer.
Okay, I got it here. Now you
under where it says L1, first 5 steps of the pattern. So in the first image, there's 1 block. In the second image, there are 3 blocks. In the third image, 6, etc. And then I extended it to the 5th one. So I put those in the set, and then I graphed those points. And so from there, I knew it was going to kind of be a quadratic anyway. So you could figure out the formula from that, or your calculator can actually give you that equation too. And then I graphed the equation to kind of create that curve that was on there. So the way that this pattern is growing is you multiply what number we're on. So if we want the 20th step, we could multiply 20 times 21 and then divide that by 2.
Is your calculator a software that's on your computer, or your calculator is attached to your computer by a cable?
It's software that the school put on. So I have
set stairs. So 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4.
Hi there, group.
Hi.
Hello. I noticed something really cool on your slide, and I wanted to ask you all a question.
Okay.
First of all, I noticed you made this like really cool table, and you took it out to 10 stairs. But then all of a sudden, there is this like jump to saying 210 steps. And I'm curious how you made that jump.
I started the stairs, and then somebody had finished it on paper.
So your table continued past 10?
Yes.
Ah, very cool. Awesome.
So
keep on going with it. If someone feels tech savvy and you would like to take a picture of your paper, I love to see students' paperwork also. It's not required, but it'd be really cool to see how you continued that on paper pencil.
Okay.
Okay.
To the right. Oh.
I actually didn't do it on paper. I did it on a calculator.
Hi there, group. I'm sorry you're having trouble with microphone issues. There are some sound settings when you first start Collaborate that can help you out with it. And you can also call in if you would like to use a phone for sound. And to do that, you would go under the gear and Collaborate. And there's a button that says use your phone for audio. It'll give you a specific phone number and PIN number. And you'd be able to come in and talk to everyone else on your phone just like you were using your microphone. And that's a pretty quick fix. There's other ones we could do, but given our time today, that might be the best one.
Hello.
Okay. Hi, we can hear you.
Hi. Now, I think that's resolved. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So this is Robin. I feel like we should have a
on the left side of Snagit, there's which camera you're using, your laptop camera or your anything else. Okay. And in the bottom right corner, there's a picture-in-picture icon. So, and just make sure when you're in Snagit that you change it from camera to video camera, because it defaults to camera where it's just like a still shot. But if you hit the little arrow above it, it'll record.
Cool. Yeah, I've done stuff through Blackboard before too, and people are sending emails about all different ways that they're recording.
have 8 steps, and I think that there are 9 of the levels. So there might be about 72 steps on each side, but I mean, it's really hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you so easily get your the note in?
I just took like you said, I took a picture of it on my phone and I emailed it to myself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I asked my son how they would do. He says that kids typically open like Google stuff on their phones, and then I guess once you open on your phone, then you can
just add to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking of how to like tell the kids.
Yeah.
When you say scanning.
I told them to, well, some of them send pictures, but I told them just to download a free scanner onto their phone.
Okay.
You can actually, if you have an iPhone, you can use your iPhone as a scanner as well. There's a way that I found out last week that you can actually use it that way. You go to Notes, create a new note, and when you're in a new note, hit the little camera icon, and if you take a picture of a document, it'll ask you, you can actually take a picture as a scanner.
Oh, cool.
Hi there.
Yeah, so
it seems that Phyllis is in your group and needs some support, so I just wanted to jump in real quick. You are in group 3, and they are on slide 26, so just come on up to 26. You're part of the group, and if you would like to use your phone for audio, since audio here isn't working for you, in Collaborate at the very bottom, there's a little gear, and if you click that gear, one of the options is use phone for audio. It'll give you a phone number and a link and a PIN number, and that might be the best way, given today's time, to connect with your group. All right, group, carry on. I'm really curious how you decided on 91 steps.
We Googled it.
We found out that it's 91 steps on all but one side, which is 92, so it adds up to 365. We Googled the Chichen Itza thing.
That is so cool. I love how you use online resources. I'm putting an arrow here because I'm going to ask you all to share that idea and how you got it. Keep up the good work. If you need to, add extra slides or extra room, you're welcome to do so.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean we have to go back on topic?
Was that the subtle way of going back on top? Has anyone ever done the breakout?
Hello, group 4.
Hello.
I am loving this pattern that you so nicely placed on here, and I'm going to put an arrow next to it. I'd love for you all to be able to talk about how that pattern is useful in helping you find the next figure.
Okay. Yeah, I don't either. I'm assuming she means the table that Ashley put in here. Yeah, I agree, Ashley. I think she is talking about the table.
many steps? Okay, so I did. Six.
Are you going to put the link for the YouTube video? Just curious.
Sure.
So the part of question 3 says, how many cubes would Jordan need to create a perfect replica of Chichen Itza?
So 210 times, like the real one or this one?
Welcome back, everyone. We are back in the main room. If you could go ahead and turn off your
We've all seen it
microphones
one.
now. Welcome back. Welcome back.
They
We are
say this
all in the
other
main
boy
room.
saw another pattern.
Go ahead and mute your
So that's kinda
microphone
cool.
now. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hey, folks, we're all back together. If you can go ahead and mute your microphones.
Somebody put a video in their screen.
All right, welcome back, everyone.
Somebody
you're
put
gonna
a
go
video
ahead
in their
and
screen.
mute your
I
microphone.
just looked at some other screens. I was
I'm
like,
also
wow,
going to mute
pretty cool.
if I still see him on.
Now I can't hear you guys again.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Okay, so as you all were doing this, I was busy at work doing the monitoring part of the 5 practices, which means I'm moving around to student work, whether this is in a face-to-face classroom or this is digital, and I'm seeing what are the pieces I want to pull together for our whole group discussion. Today in our whole group discussion, I want to go from very concrete examples to pictorial examples, moving into tables, graphs, and functions as the abstract way last. That's my formula of what I want to do today. It's not my formula every day. I'm going to purposefully pick students to talk about their slide and how they did the thing they did. And I used arrows to let you know what part I want you to talk about because I want you to be very specific in your conversation. I don't want you to tell me everything on your slide. There's probably lots of good stuff out there. I have a bit of a formula that I'm working on to get this through, so just the area that the arrow is on. We're going to start off on slide 19. If we can all head there and look at the orange arrow. Slide 19. And if the person who put this up here would turn on your microphone and tell us what did you do here? How did you get this lovely model?
So I went to a virtual manipulative, and if we were serving students of the younger age, I wanted to find a math manipulative that would be very user-friendly for them. So I used Cool Math for Kids, and I put the link in there as well. And I used the base 10 blocks and the single blocks to duplicate them and created a visual.
That's a wonderful, concrete way of showing us exactly how many are there for 20. I can count them all up, and I could answer this question. So thank you, Group 5. Next, we'll move to slide 22. And this group, I'm going to focus just where the red arrow is. Tell us what you mean by this sentence that you wrote here.
Okay. So when you're adding consecutive numbers, basically you're adding the next number in the sequence. So 1, the consecutive number is 2, so you add 2. The consecutive number after 2 is 3, then you add 3, and you just keep on going from 1 to 20.
Awesome. So you keep on going from 1 to 20. And I'd like us to also look at slide 27. Slide 27 has a purple arrow. And if someone from that group can tell us, what do you mean by the numbers with the purple arrow?
Just showing a pattern that's how many got added on each time as you got to the next step. So that matches up with the picture that's underneath it. So first one, then add 2, then add 3, then add 4.
So I'd love for someone else to make a connection here. How did you see a connection between slide 22 and slide 27? You can talk about how they're similar or different, or a way that you made a connection between 22 and 27.
'22 seemed to be a description of what was done in 27. So in 27, writing and showing the numbers, and in 22, explaining what was being done in 27.
Excellent. So we're talking about an explanation of what's being done in 27. Who can rephrase or saw that a different way? Go ahead, Corinne.
So it looks like both of those groups are viewing the pictures that are shown in terms of columns of blocks. The first column is 1 block. The next column has 2 blocks in it. The third column has 3 blocks in it. And so to count up the blocks, you're adding those numbers 1, 2, 3. and they both used tables to show that that was happening.
Oh, so you're seeing both the words and the numbers as like a column, column 1, column 2, column 3. Excellent connections. Let's go up to slide 20. This group decided to make a table, a T-chart, a function table. Different grade levels call it different things. And tell us, how did you go about making this? What was the math that your brain was doing?
I just made the table. I mean, it's the same numbers as in the other slides, just I guess in a different direction, looking at the pictures to find the pattern. But I made a third column for a function, but didn't come up with a function.
Awesome. So you're kind of doing a lot more maybe mental math and adding up and adding it to this table. And I'd like to compare this table, slide 20 table, with slide 17 table. And I'd like for anybody to turn on their microphone what is similar and what is different between the tables on slides 17 and 20. What's similar and different between slide 17 and slide 20?
Slide 20 is trying to show the operations to get from one row to the next row by using some colors and some symbols.
Right.
Oh, so we're seeing some color and symbols added. Who can translate those colors and symbols? Like, what do they mean and why did they color code them that way?
So you're looking at, in slide 17, you're looking that the yellow is added to the yellow to equal the green. The green is added to the green to equal the blue. The blue is added to the blue to equal the purple. So it's it's helping the mind move to, it's helping a student's mind move and see the pattern a little bit. You know, if they're not easily seeing the pattern, it's helping them see the pattern using color and symbols.
Awesome. So if I was looking for the number of steps in step number 8, how might I use the table on slide 17? Who can walk me through how I would get the answer to step 8? I'm going to go ahead and delete this real quick. How would I get this answer?
You would take the previous amount and, which is 21, whoops, sorry, 28, and add 8 to it.
Great. And so what we're doing here is we're using previous information to give us the next step. And in our early pattern development, this is our recursive model. And so that's a term that many of you are familiar with and that you want students to get to. You want them to be able to see one stage and be able to move to the next. There's a really interesting way that one group wrote this on slide 24. And group, I'm going to make your image a lot bigger just so we can see the work. What I love about this image is that the student used their own notation. They weren't stuck in something that was taught in math class. They just kind of used their own notation for it. And if you see a connection to one of the previous, let us know which one you see a connection to.
It's very similar to the slide 17 with the color pattern. They're just using arrows to show what's being added instead of colors.
Right, so when they're using arrows, this has now become a symbolic way that me as a student, I can apply this to just about anything. I've got this new notation, this new skill, and this new skill is going to help me move from that recursive all the way to the function. And that's one of the things that is typically challenging when students are doing patterns in middle school and Algebra 1 is moving to that formula, that function, that equation. If we look at slide 19, we're going to look at the red arrow this time. And this group, they may have used a function in their calculator, but we could have also simply plotted the points on a coordinate plane. And we'd notice that this line is curvy, like it's not a typical line that we might do. And so that might mean that our equation looks differently. Can anyone make a connection between the orange arrow and the red arrow? How do we move from a straight line in the orange arrow to a curvy line in the red arrow?
Is that an exponential function here?
Looks like a quadratic. That's cheating and looking at the formula below.
Yeah.
So those of you who
Exponentially would have grown much faster.
Those of you who teach Algebra 2 and into calculus, you can look at other derivatives and stuff to figure out like what type this is, or you might look at the rate in different ways. But yeah, there is a difference. How on earth do we go from straight to when I plot it on the coordinate plane, now it's curvy? Like that's a big deal. What's going on there?
I think it's exponential somehow.
So if we were to actually plot these different pieces on there, I wouldn't usually jump to the solution yet with my students, but in the orange graph, we're showing the blocks at every stage, but on the red graph, we're showing a cumulative. So if we stacked everything together, how tall every single block would be. And then I have another one for us to take a peek at, slide 25. Actually, that one got moved. Actually, slide 27 is where I meant to go. If you join me on slide 27, this group was able to come up with an equation. And this is a big jump for students as they're moving from growing patterns to algebra. And they even have this nice little link to Desmos. Whoever did this one, can you tell us if we're teaching students and they're just at the recursive stage, how do you get them to this stage here?
So I think that what I would do is kind of what you're doing now, and I would put like maybe even create another slide to have like different representations right next to each other, the different student representations, and then ask them to say, you know, where do you see the x squared in this picture, or where do you see the 1/2 in the table? Like trying to get them to make the connections themselves between what was created here in the function and then the tables and the pictures.
Absolutely. And that's where I would like to have us head to next, just so you all can see some other possible ways of holding a discussion. Let's go to slide 29. My mathematical goal was to have a discussion about how we move from a recursive model to a function or finding that equation. And you are probably somewhere in this area, whether you are at the adding one each time or you're at the I can use Desmos and put it in, and that's fine wherever you are. For some of you, you'll need a little more structure in your class, and I'd recommend the template on slide 30. I could put any image here, or what I usually like to do is I like to fill out only one of these boxes. I like to either give them the story problem or the graph or the table, and I have my students fill in all the rest as a group. And I would do this over multiple days until they get really fluent in lots of different types of representations. The next thing I'd like you to look at is slides 31 through 34. These are slides from my actual class who did this problem. And this is their fourth time together, just like we're doing today, but they had 3 prior sessions. So they're used to me really wanting to see different representations, and they're used to me valuing different representations because they know that's going to give them talk time. And you can see, again, I've used the arrows here to select, like, which one am I really talking about? Which one do I want you to explain? And I have a very purposeful order. Smith and Stein would call that selecting and sequencing. And so the talk time is very purposeful. And the more that students play with virtual manipulatives, the more their confidence will go up and the more they'll start to see it different ways. As we finish up, I have a couple other slides and templates for you below this to give you ideas of how you can use this in your class. First of all, slide 35. My students don't have any online requirements. There's no competencies for being in my class. So I need to see who knows these Google Slide competencies on day 1 and who I need to support more. So I give them this little scavenger hunt to let me know a little bit about them, and it lets me know who's got these tools already so that I don't have to teach the students directly. They can teach each other, or I can work it with a small group. So you're welcome to use this slide and change it up however you like. There's some videos and some templates below. And the very last thing, if you come on down to the very last slide, I just made a duplicate, so it's on slide 67. Slide 67 is a virtual parking lot. I encourage you to ask your questions that you have now on this slide, just add a text box. And I encourage you to use a virtual parking lot with your students because it allows you to have a good flow of your lesson without students asking off-topic but really important questions in the middle of your lesson. They can put them here. You can go in at any time and answer them. And since it's the last slide, you'll be sure to visit it before you dismiss your class. All right, folks, that was 10 years of my strategies put into a 1-hour session. I'm doing another one next Saturday at 10 a.m. You'll get a different task and you'll hone your skills at making different representations and having a richer math talk. If you would like to come, again, please sign up at that tiny URL. Please feel free to share this with others. You're welcome to share any of the slides, and I will have the recording up later on this afternoon. It's been a pleasure working with you. Happy teaching, and do one step at a time. You all can do this. You're the educators, and we put pedagogy first. All right, I'm going to get to some of these questions on the slide here. Cynthia asks, how do students add pictures of their paperwork to the slide? My students use their cell phone. I mean, even my 3rd graders were able to use their device to take a picture of their work and upload it to the slide. Someone said, how do you manage breakout groups? Is there a schedule of how long to be in each one? Sure. There's a lot of management things that I do in my classes that I didn't do here just because of time. In the recording, you'll see how I set up the breakout rooms. You can also visit slide 3 to see a quick version of it. And I either give students a little header in the top that says come back at 8:40 or 9:40. I also sometimes use a timer, or I just send something out in the chat to everyone saying, like I'll do right now, 1 minute left, just to give them a heads up. Where are the recordings? They will be on the gray slides. So right now I have 4 gray slides at the top, 3 through 6. You all will have another slide up here this afternoon, which will have this recording, the link for the blank slides, the link for the completed slides. Everything you need will be in the gray. Do you have a good link for virtual manipulatives? I used to, but what I found is virtual manipulatives are ever changing. So what I started to do was ask my students during the math task, if you find a great link, put it in the chat box so that we all can use it. So an example of that is what I just did now. In the chat box, I posted a link, and anyone can now click on it and add it to their own resources. How do students add pictures? Okay, we got to that one. If there's any other questions, feel free to write them on the virtual parking lot. I had fun doing math with you all this morning. Yes, you can share the slides. All the teachers in the world right now are just sharing everything, and it's such a lovely, lovely practice. You're welcome, Melanie. It was nice seeing you, and I love your updated picture. You're welcome, Cynthia. Sure thing, Jill. You all are very welcome. You all are very welcome. Go be amazing. Go be the same teachers you are in a face-to-face classroom. Go be that amazing online. You are very welcome, Sharon.
Teresa, I have a question.
Sure.
Um, I I stumbled onto this early in the week when I took one with another teacher in my district who found your seminar, and I thought, well, today the second time I'm seeing this stuff, and I'm not familiar with the platform you're using, and all this is very new, and I feel like I'm in the deep end of a pool, and I don't have any floaties, and I'm struggling with the technology. I mean, does that get any better?
So the good news is it does get better, and it gets better fairly quickly, but please be patient with yourself as you're learning. You're not alone in this. I get this question all the time. And what I try and do in 1 hour is give you all a ton of ideas. But I don't think there's anyone in here who's catching on to everything at once. They're getting little tidbits, and then they're implementing that tidbit, seeing how it goes, and modifying it for themselves. I'm using 2 platforms today. I'm using a online video chat, which is in this case Collaborate Ultra, just because that's what my university uses already, and I don't have to learn anything new or try and get a new username. I'm just going with what I do on a regular basis. And I'm also using Google Slides. Google Slides is free for everybody. You have a ton of storage space using Google Drive. And it's just really user-friendly for collaboration. What I recommend is that you play around with Google Slides. Maybe go on YouTube and watch a how to start with Google Slides video. There's a ton out there, and they do a far better job than anything I would create. And then make your own slideshow of 3 slides long. Share it with your students and just ask how's it going? And see if your students can reply on the slides. And just start simple and small. And as your confidence increases, your students' confidence will increase, and you all will have this better learning experience. But I think the biggest tip is just to be patient as you're learning it.
Okay. Well, my next question is, my district has decided we have to do online learning till the 1st of May when they're going to reevaluate if we can actually go back to our campuses. And I tried I teach freshmen, okay, and I teach intro levels. I teach Math 1, which is a lot of algebra, and then this time of year we're in geometry, okay, so lots of pictures. And I'm struggling on how I'm going to do that online. I tried Zoom the other day, and I sent home a mass email to parents and kids saying, hey, come check it out. And I had done it previously in the week, and I only got 5 kids to show up out of the 130 that I have throughout the day. And I had like 28 show up, but I tried talking to them about rules, like you have your slide with rules. And they were having side conversations and throwing symbols at each other in their cameras, and I kept trying to mute them, and they'd turn their things back on, and it's like, oh my God, it was like Keystone Cops. It was ridiculous. And I was just trying to give them a little mini lesson on things I wanted to discuss and talk, and I found it very difficult.
Yeah, so there's some tips that I have working with, different age students. And one of them, when I was working with a group of 7th graders, I needed to give them a space to like literally get their sillies out. I mean, this is something that is done in elementary schools all the time, but in the secondary, they need it too. They need a place to learn the technology while kind of getting their sillies out. And so in a time like this, when things really are maybe incredibly stressful at home, what I'd recommend is that you do a Zoom session, asking them for their norms, like what do you all want in your learning? For me in my class, we use the chat box, so the Zoom chat or Collaborate chat, as more of our comedic relief for talking about things. So it is a place where students can giggle a little bit, can have some fun for it, and they can put things that are appropriate but maybe more on a humorous state in the chat box. And then we keep our slides for more of the mathy stuff. And my students like that. They like that, having that space to be silly. And one of the reasons why is because we're so interactive, that we want to be clear about where we're rehumanizing the online learning and where we are doing the math side of it. I hope that helps. What other questions do you have?
It's just that I'm not familiar. I don't do a lot of work in Google because it's not math friendly. So I just have everything, worksheets and all kinds of stuff on my hard drive. And so I had to learn Google Classroom, and I had to learn that really quick last week. And then now I had to learn Zoom last week to try to, talk to my students. And my district it's very strange. I think, and I was talking with my group members, and they're on the East Coast, and they were saying that they had to do the same thing. They were technically the first few weeks that we were all locked up at home because California is still on lockdown. That, we're supposed to be educating and teaching, but my district said the only thing we can do is read, review, and enrich. We cannot count anything as grades right now, and nothing counts till the 13th of April. And then we're supposed to be at this online learning that counts till the 1st of May, and then they're going to reevaluate if we can actually go back to our classrooms at that point. But I teach freshmen. That means, hey, free for all. We don't have to do anything. I'm out of here. Bye. They're not even getting up till noon. And I have 130, and like I said, 28 showed up the other day out of the 130, and I thought, wow, this is going to be really tough.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure how to. I am immersed in this by force, and I almost feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water.
So there are a lot of things that are definitely out of our control, and it is out of our control about, who shows up in a time where it's just enrichment. Your students, it sounds like they really do have the choice of just not showing up. And so I know this is easier said than done, but when you can realize the things that are out of your control and say, okay, what am I going to do with what is? You do have, in this case, 28 students who did show up, who were learning the technology and having fun with it. And what I wonder is if you are doing those intro level courses and like early algebra and concepts, could you use simply growing patterns and do a daily one you're on for an hour. You ask them to look at this pattern and see how it continues. And you literally do the same format every day where they are showing a picture that they did. Your students are likely tech savvy. If they are freshmen in high school, they might know already how to take a picture of their work from their phone and post it. They might be able to draw it and just ask them. I mean, you could even throw it out like, I met this person online and they want me to ask you guys, do you know how to do this tech stuff? Can you show me how the pattern continues? And it's almost like you're doing like sneaky math, like you're coming in on the side and you're showing them the math that's there. And these are just really good math practices to look at different representations. And that does satisfy the need to enrich without doing new content.
Okay.
But mostly be patient with yourself, be patient with your students. Take a day, let this kind of sink in, and ask yourself, what's one little thing from this that I could do with my students next week? And then if you show up next week for our session, I'd love to hear what little step you implemented and how it went. But take it slow. No one's expecting these grandiose math lessons that are exactly like the classroom because everyone's still learning this.
Okay. I did. I went and signed up for next Saturday.
Awesome.
And it's an hour later. Yay. I still wish it was a little later in the day, but
Awesome. Well, yeah, see what you can implement. Be patient when things don't work. Put up a smiley face emoji and realize that that's part of the learning curve. And the same way that you
yeah,
expect
see, that's something else. I don't even know how to change my whatever, like you said, because yours is a picture of you and your grandmother.
Mhm.
I don't even know how to go do that.
All right. So if you
I don't know how to do any of this stuff.
So one thing I would definitely recommend is on YouTube, search for exactly what you're looking for because teachers around the world right now are posting really good videos. I didn't know how to use Zoom until last week, and I went on there and I just started looking how to do breakout rooms in Zoom. And people have better videos than anything I can make. And use that as you're learning and growing, and then just pick one thing to try and implement. Don't try and change your profile picture and do Google Slides and do students uploading and do chat box and don't do all of those things at once. Pick one thing and try it out and give yourself grace.
Okay.
Sound doable?
Okay. Yeah. One thing is probably doable, yes.
Awesome. Try that one thing. Go out. Enjoy the productive struggle that you ask your students to do on a regular basis. Try and enjoy that yourself. And don't stress. And come back next Saturday and tell us how it went.
Okay.
Alrighty?
All right. Thank you,
Sure
Teresa.
thing. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Mhm.